Right. Good evening, everyone. We'll wait for another 2 to 3 minutes until others get connected, right? Right. Let's begin. Okay. So, good evening again. Last time we get to know about some input devices and output devices and some processing device, like not some actually, about the processor, right? So I just need the confirmation, Dulapatala, how far we have went with the notes, which I actually missed the recording last time. So I really don't have a solid clue. So I remember we were writing the computer memory and we were drawing the diagrams, but I wonder whether we move to the cache memory or not. So is it the secondary memory that we have to continue today? Like, can anyone confirm how far we have went? Yes, anyone? We wrote about the ROM, right? We wrote about the ROM and we wrote about the cache, as I remember. But we haven't went through the secondary memory as I remember. Just confirm whether it is okay or not. Everyone, you can hear me clearly, right? people? මාව ඇහෙනව නේද clearly ඔය පැත්තට?
Yes, sir.
Right, okay. So how far we have went? Can anyone confirm? අපි note එකේ කොතනට ලියලාද කියලා පොඩ්ඩක් බලන්න.
RAM and ROM.
RAM and ROM is done. Haven't we wrote about the cache memory, Puta?
No, sir.
No, right. Okay. Right. So I think we have talked about the cache memory, right? Let me recap what the cache memory is. Like I told you, the cache memory is the one which is near to the CPU. So when the data and instruction like majorly sent from the primary memory, අපේ RAM එකේ ඉඳලා තමයි CPU එකට data and instructions යවන්නේ. But when it is being sent, it's sent through the cache memory, right? Or like cache memory memorize what are the things that has sent from the RAM to the CPU recently. ළඟදී මේ මොනවාද කියලා මතක තියාගෙන ඉන්නවා. Right? So if the CPU needs to execute very recent program again, then the CPU is referring to the cache memory to check that particular program is still there in the cache memory. So if it is there, so the processor can use that, right? So it's the operating system that is helping to do this. So operating system first look in the cache memory. So if it is there, that particular program, so operating system is asking that program to go along or like go and execute inside the CPU. If it is not there, then of course we have to refer, like the operating system have to refer the main memory, right? So cache memory, it is smaller than the primary memory, that is the RAM, but larger than the register memories, like the memory or the memory unit that we talk when we are talking about the CPU, memory registry. So memory registry එකට වැඩිය ලොකුයි. But main memory RAM එකට වැඩිය comparatively ගොඩක් පොඩි, right? Okay, so we are going to take down about the cache memory, right? So once we done the cache memory, we are going to jump into the storage devices, the permanent or the secondary memory. So where we are going to see how the inside of a hard disk are being prepared or like are being structured, right? මොන විදිහට තියෙන්නේ කියලා. මේ ලස්සන animation එකක් තියෙනවා අපි බලමු ඒක. So before that, we'll take down about the cache memory. So continue with the heading of cache memory, right? So put down the heading cache memory, right? And I'll tell you what to be written. Yeah, so it's better you take down the very first right? Very first paragraph. And as well as you have to draw the figure which is under the paragraph, under 2 paragraph. Then හැමෝගාවම පොත් තියෙනවා නේද? හැමෝටම පොත් හම්බෙලා නේද තියෙන්නේ? Is there anyone still who haven't received the books, the textbooks? So you can draw the diagram at home. So have this space. So you put the cache memory and write down the highlighted part. And meanwhile, people just give me an update about the school situation. What's the lesson that the school is carrying out? Is it the first or the second or the third? Let me know when you are done. You don't need to draw the diagram now. You can draw it at home since you got the textbooks. Okay, one is done. How about others? Can we move people? Is there anyone still writing? Okay. Right. So have the space. නේද පිටු භාගයක් අවශ්‍ය නම් ලොකුවට ඇඳගන්න පිටුවක් තිබ්බත් කමක් නැහැ. Right. Okay, so the next one is about the secondary memory. Now, secondary memory, there is a major difference of the primary and the secondary memory because secondary memory stores data permanently. Like primary memory, other than the ROM, all other types, that means registers, register memory, cache memory, and random access memory, the main, like the one we address as main memory, are volatile memories. Like volatile means it will keep the things stored in their chips and components until the power is supplied. Once the power is disconnected, it won't be having, or it is not having any data inside it. It just erases those things. But when it comes to the secondary memory, it's unlike the primary memory. These things are non-volatile, right? So non-volatile means නැති වෙන්නේ නැති, නශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ නැති කියන එක. So non-volatile memory, and these things can store the data for significant amount of time, right? එතකොට මේ වගේ එකකින් data එකක් නැති වෙනවා නම් නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. සමහර විට data එක corrupt වෙලා, sometimes you just like fall it on the floor and damages, physical damages, so the data can be erased or data can be damaged or inaccessible. Otherwise, the data is permanent. And there are three types of secondary storages, which we call the magnetic media, the optical media, and the solid state. So I'll show you what are these, the magnetic media. Why it is being categorized as a magnetic media? Because it uses the magnetism to store the data permanently inside that particular devices. And later the optical media came, and it is very famous even today. These CDs, DVDs, and Blu-ray, all these things, they are called optical media. And why it is being called optical media? Because the data is read and write by using a laser beam. So laser means it's the light, the optical, right? So that is why it is being said as optical media. And the last one, the last category is called the solid state devices. Now, solid state devices, like the pen drives that we are using, are category under the solid state devices. Like it is very famous and as well as very, very fast regarding to the other two devices, right? Other two storages. Right now, this hard disk, there are two types of hard disks, which are like SSD, solid state disk are there, and the this particular IDE ones, right? So which can be connected through the IDE connector is there. So this hard disk which stores the data using the magnetism has these parts. So it has platters. Now platters means the මම තව ටිකකින් වීඩියෝ එකක් පෙන්නනවා. ඔයගලන්ට ප්ලැටර් එකක් අඳුන ගන්න හරිම ලේසි විදිහ තමයි ඔයගලන්ගේ ඇඟිල්ලට ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේ වැඩේ කරලා තියෙනවා. ඔයගලන්ගේ ඇඟිල්ලට ඔයගොල්ලෝ CDs fix කරලා තියෙනවා නේද? එකින් එක fix කරලා. අන්න එතකොට ඔයගලන්ගේ ඇඟිල්ල තමයි sorry CD එක තමයි ප්ලැටර් එක වෙන්නේ. ඇඟිල්ල තමයි ස්පින්ඩල් එක වෙන්නේ. right? එතකොට ඇඟිල්ල වමටයි දකුණටයි කැරකෙව්වොත් so the platter will rotate. CD එක rotate වෙනවා. So the very same way spindle එකට CDs එහෙම fix කරලා තියෙනවා. So once the spindle is rotated, so the platters are being rotated. So platters are nothing. It is something very similar to the CDs, but it has a higher capacity as well as it can be written in like both the surfaces. දෙපැත්තම data write කරන්න පුළුවන්. Right? And head is there. Now head is the one they have named as 3. So head is used to read and write data on this particular device. Right? And actuator arm. Now this triangle type of thing is the actuator arm which help the header to move back and forth. Because header that cannot be written or like that cannot be what we call it can only move to the forward and to the backward as well, right? Yeah, and the power connector is there to give the power. So without the power, none of these mechanical things or the electronical things will be worked. And yeah, IDE connector is there. Now that connector is differed from device to device. Like most of the devices, they use what we call the IDE connectors, and some of the hard disk they use the USB connectors, right? And in some cases they use what we call the SATA cable, SATA cable. Right, so those kind of things are there inside the hard disk. Now let's see what's actually happens when it comes to the hard disk, right? So this is a video that describes how things really happens with the hard disk. So it is an animation. I'll share it with the sound. That we are talking about, and the actuator, they have given some additional details as well. The actuator coil and all these things, it's not there. people,
For
I
complete data
hope
recovery
you
training,
have
just
seen
log
that,
on
and
to
in the
www.dataempires.com. Here, you can learn all the
course.
course for lifetime in Hindi and English
Yeah,
with
so,
one free data recovery solution. You can easily
did you
download
recognize
all the
the IDE port? They have shown you the IDE. So this is what you call the IDE port, right? So the data cable is connected on this particular place. Then these pins, the white pins, are there to connect the power connector. So hard disk එකට දේවල් දෙකක් එන්න ඕනේ. එකක් තමයි current එක එන්න ඕනේ, අනිත් එක data එන්න ඕනේ. So for that they use two different methods or paths to do that, right? Okay, so shall we write down? Yeah, so yeah, have the main subheading, what we call the secondary memory. Yeah, and under that, it's better you say this. The very first line, it will store in the data permanently. Right, then the very last line, very last means like this. Okay, done. Everyone, how was it? Okay, once you are done with this, you have to copy this diagram. It's better you copy it now. දැන් ගෙදරදී අඳින්න එකක් තියෙනවනේ. ඉන්සර්ට් එකක් ගාලා මේ diagram එක secondary storage category වෙන විදිහ ඇඳ ගන්න. People, let me know when you are done.
Sir?
Ravindu?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Ravindu, like we wrote about the cache memory. Were you there when we writing that particular thing?
Yes, sir.
All right.
After
Then
that,
after we wrote about the secondary memory, right? Regarding the secondary memory, we just write this first sentence. Then we copy the last sentence and the diagram.
okay, sir. Thank you.
Right. Right. So hope everyone is done. Is there anyone still getting down the things? If not, we can move. Right. So regarding the magnetic media devices now, okay, is there anyone still? No, right, okay. Okay, so magnetic media devices, now this is the way you are going to do. Now, hard disk is the one which we are talking when we are talking about the magnetic media devices, right? Because in one hand, it is the major storage device of a computer, and it is in magnetic media. So other than the hard disk, there are magnetic tapes. I think you have seen these things, neda? Cassette piece එකක් දැකලා තියෙනව නේද? So we call it the magnetic tape, and you can take out the ribbon, right? And that ribbon, you can see it's a little bit brown color when it comes to the magnetic tapes. So using a read-write head, we can store the data inside it. And here they haven't shown you about a floppy disk, right? A floppy disk is also considered as a magnetic media, right? Let me show you a picture of the floppy disks. I think you have seen, who haven't seen a floppy disk before? Since we are using these pen drives and all these things. Now in my golden days, my old days, it was the floppy disk that I use. Right now, this is the floppy disk. And believe me, the floppy disk has the capacity of storing, as I remember, 3.44 megabytes or 1.44. I really don't remember now, right? Yeah, 1.44 as I remember, right? So that means then ada api ahana MP3 song ekakut, it's 3 MB big, right? So we don't even like we can't even store a song inside a floppy disk, right? But still, there are industries where they use floppy disks for their operations. Like in the garment industry, they use this floppy disk. They call it diskette as well, to give the embroider patterns, right? And it used in many ways. And they had this floppy disk drive. Now this is the floppy disk drive. මේ ඉස්සරහ තියෙන open එකට තමයි floppy disk එක enter කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. So we have to keep it and we have to push it, right? අපිට අර CD-ROM එකේ වගේ button එකකින් හිමින් සැරේ ඇතුළට ගන්නෙ නෑ. So we have to push the floppy disk into this mouth, right? So once we push it, this particular button comes out. Floppy disk eject like we are inserting a ATM card and removing it, right? So this is what you call the floppy disk or the floppy diskette, right? So that's also considered as a magnetic storage device, right? It has this a thick magnetic tape which is arranged as a CD type of a thing. ඒ තරම් ලොකු නැහැ. අර magnetic tape එකකින් රවුමක් කපලා තියනවා වගේ තමයි ඒක තියෙන්නේ. Right? Yeah, like a CD තෙසඳු. Yes, like a CD. Right? Okay, so so those are the famous magnetic devices or the magnetic type storage devices that you can find. All right, so regarding the these things, we are going to write about some important things, right? So have the topic magnetic media devices, right? And write down this very first sentence. Data is stored here by using magnetic field. Then we'll write about the examples. Yeah. And before you go to the hard disk, I'll show you some hard disk types, right? Just give me a second. I have this presentation regarding that. Now, this is a picture. These are some pictures about different hard disks type. Now, what you can see is it's an IDE type hard disk. Its capacity is 12 TB. 12 TB means 12 terabytes, right? Which is very huge capacity, right? And this is a SSD, solid state drive, right? So as I told you, it is not a magnetic media. ඒක අපි අර තුන්වෙනියට කතා කරන solid state කියන එකට තමයි මෙයාව අයිති වෙන්නේ. So the major difference of these two is this IDE type has movable parts. This solid state one is have no movable parts. That's why it is said solid state. ඒකයි එකට solid state කියලා කියන්නේ. move කරන ඒවා නැහැ. මෙයාගේ තියෙනවා movable parts නේද? අපි වීඩියෝ එක බලනකොට දැක්කනේ. The head is moving here and there and a platter is rotating. So it is moving. මෙතන එහෙම නෑ. මෙතන ඉලෙක්ට්‍රොනික සර්කිට් එකක් විදිහට තමයි එයා data store කරන්නේ. And the same way we can have the external hard drives as well, right? So you can use a USB cable and connect it and use it as external storage. But like when it comes to a computers, it must have a hard disk type of a thing, either a magnetic one or a solid state one, to boot up your computer. මොකද ඔයාගේ computer එකේ තියෙන operating system එක Windows හරි Mac හරි Android හරි whatever the operating system is stored in here, right? So you need a one, and again you can use it as an external one, but not to boot the computer. Computer එක boot වෙන්න නම් අපි ඒක internally හරියට fix කරලා තියෙන hard disk එකක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. එහෙමත් නැත්නම් operating system එකේ install කරලා තියෙන hard disk එක first we have to connect through the USB, then we have to boot up or the power up the computer, right? සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි එහෙම කරනවා හරි අඩුයි. එළියෙන් hard disk එක connect කරලා USB cable එකක් through machine එක boot කරගන්න එක. It is possible to do, but much safer way is to fix it to the inside and use it as an internal one. So like when you are like regarding the internal ones, they have no very ලස්සන finishing එකක් නැහැ. ඒවා those are some components, right? දැන් මේ තුන්දෙනා දිහා බැලුවම මේ අර outer look එක ලස්සනටම තියෙන්නේ මේ external එක, right? මේගොල්ලෝ ඇතුළට high වෙන කට්ටිය ඉතින් ඒ නිසා ලොකු ලස්සනක් නැහැ. So but they serve to its purpose, and this is something very modern, right? Then අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් hard disk එකක් connect කරන්නේ computer එකකට we need nails. අපිට ඇන ඕනේ. ඇන වලින් තමයි අපි අපේ system unit එකට එයාව fix කරන්නේ, right? But then we use a cable from the hard disk to the motherboard to make the connection. Motherboard එකයි hard disk එකයි connect කරගන්න. I'll show you the arrangement, right? But this one, which is on my right hand side, is called it is an SSD, solid state drive, but it is there to fix as a card. කෙලින්ම port එකකට RAM එක high වෙනවා වගේ port එකකට high කරන්නයි තියෙන්නේ, right? So it doesn't need any cable type of things. මොකද මෙයා directly motherboard එකට තමයි fix වෙන්නේ, right? Now if I show you a picture of the motherboard, right? I'll show you the ports. Right, now let me take a bigger picture. පුතේ කාගේ හරි mic එකක් on වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. mute කරගන්න. Right, now yeah. Now this is a motherboard. Now this is the place where you are going to fix the processor. Meතනට තමයි processor එක connect වෙන්නේ. ඕගලන්ට මේ එළියෙන් පේන interface එක මේ තියෙන ports ටික තමයි desktop එකේ එළියෙන් පේන්නේ. Right? Those are the things which is acting as an interfaces. Right? And these things මෙතන තියෙන මේ black color දැන් මගේ mouse point එක move වෙන තැන තියෙන black color ports ටික තියෙන්නේ that is for the RAM. So RAM cards or the random access memories can be fixed onto this. So sometimes the cache memory is welded onto the motherboard or sometimes it is with the CPU. And now these ports මෙතන තියෙන ports වලින් එකක් තමයි අර මම පෙන්නපු SSD එක connect කරන්න පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ. Now these type of ports are getting differ from motherboard to the motherboard, right? So once it connects with it, so it can directly access that, right? Then පරණ motherboards වල කියන්නේ card එක fix කරන්න නැති motherboard වල ඒ කියන්නේ මෙයාව මෙයා නැතුව අපි මේ type එකක් connect කරගන්නකොට මේ magnetic type එකක් හරි SSD type එකක් හරි connect කරගන්නකොට so you have to like nail it to the system unit body or the system unit and then you have to use these connectors මේ මෙතන pins වගේක් පේන්න තියෙන්නේ අන්නේ pins පාවිච්චි කරන්න ඕනේ connection එක දෙන්න right එතකොට wire එකකින් wire එකක් නෙවෙයි ඇත්තටම data cable එක connect වෙනවා මෙතනට right so I'll show you the connection of the hard disk to the motherboard just a second. All right, so it is like this. See, now this ash color thing, the gray color thing is the data cable, right? And it is connected to this particular port. Motherboard එකට තියෙන මෙහෙම තියෙන එකකට port එකට fix වෙලා තියෙනවා. So the other side is fixed to the IDE connector of the hard disk. Right? මේ මෙතන මේ wires ගොඩකින් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන power එක. ඒක දෙන්නේ power supply එක පාවිච්චි කරලා. Right? So and there are this other type මේකට අපි කියනවා IDE type එක කියලා. Now these are little bit out of your syllabus but දැනගෙන හිටියට කමක් නැහැ. Right? මේ ash color මහත cable එකට කියනවා අපි IDE type එක කියලා. ඊට පස්සේ මේ ඔයගලන්ට පේනවාද there is this red color very thin wire is there. So this is called the SATA cable. Right? So අපි hard disk එකක් ගන්නකොට නැත්නම් like if we go and ask for a hard disk from the market, they will definitely ask for this, like what type you need. Is it the IDE type or the SATA type? Right? Then SSD like the modern way of connecting the hard disk is the SATA and the card that I showed you. IDE is the oldest one. Right? The mama මගේ යුනිවර්සිටි පීරියඩ් එකෙන් පස්සේ කම්පියුටර් එක assemble කරනකොට මම පාවිච්චි කරේ IDE types. There were no SATA type hard disk on those days, right? Like back in 2003, right? Not very far, right? But SATA came later, right? So SATA cable එක මේ ash color cable එකට වඩා හරි powerful. It gives a very big like it gives a very high data transferring rate. ඉක්මනට data transfer කරගන්න පුළුවන් and small in size, right? So those are called the SATA types, right? So likewise then card එක තියෙනකොට මේ cables මුකුත් ඕනේ නැහැ අපිට. SSD එකේ card type එක මේ දකුණු අත පැත්තේ තියෙන the card type will directly fix onto the motherboard, right? So that is how the hard disks are working, right? So I'll let's write the things like this regarding the hard disk. So I think you have written the magnetic media devices, and you may have wrote the data is stored by using magnetic fields. So as an example one, hard disk drive, put that heading, not the heading, like that example as well. And yeah, have this first sentence, right? Have that first sentence, and then you can write the components of the hard disk, right? So the copy the first sentence, and then under that write hard disk made of several components, then list the components. You don't need to write the description, just the name, right? Platter, spindle, head, right? Actuator arm, power connector, IDE connector, and actuator, right? So first, this first sentence, then this one hard disk is made of several components, then list the things. Right, you may copy it down, people. I'll be here within a minute.
Hello
Okay, sorry for that. Had to go out. Yes. Yeah. Vijayaratnam, like you were asking to tell some small summary. Like, did you connect in with us recently? Is that so that you are asking?
Yeah, sir. So that only I'm asking.
Right. Okay. So, we start from the place where we start to talk about this cache memory, and we wrote about it some sentences. You can refer the video so you can see what are the things that we take down. And I asked a student to draw this particular thing at home. Then we step into the secondary memory and we copy down some sentences as well as this diagram. And then we are doing the magnetic media devices, right? So like the first example. So we write down this particular sentence, which is highlighted on the screen. And then we are like writing the hard disk components as well. Right, so you are not required to write the all these sentences, but only the component, the platter, spindle, head, the actuator arm, power connector, right, IDE connector, and actuator. That's all.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah, we have to go for the second example as well. Like as the second example, write the magnetic tape, and as the third example, now they have jeopardized by saying third example in here. Now this is not third example. So for second example, magnetic tape, and for the third example, you write the floppy disks. FLOPPY floppy disk. So those are the examples for the magnetic media, right? So the hard disk drive, the floppy disk, and the magnetic tape, right? So since the hard disk drive is the major component of storing the data, we just talk about it a little bit. So other than that, magnetic tape and the floppy disk is the third example. Right, and when it comes to the optical media, that is the next category, right? So we were talking about the magnetic media devices. Then we are going to talk about the optical media devices, right? Only the topic, Buddha. Ravindu, it's only the topic, right? You only need to write the magnetic tape, that's all. And as the third example, it's the floppy disk. That's all. You don't need to clarify what it is. Right. Okay, so when it comes to the optical media, so as I told you, why it is called the optical media, because the reading and writing to these media is done by the laser beam. So laser means it's the light, which is optical, right? So that is why this is called the optical media. So when you are writing something for the very first time to a CD, what happens is the CD-ROM has a laser beam which can burn the surface of your CD. CD එක උඩ burn කරන එක තමයි ඒගොල්ලෝ කරන්නේ. Right? I'll show you a video. Right? So just a second, I need to find the correct one. So I off the sharing. Right? Just a second. Yeah, there was a nice animation about burning, but I really couldn't save the link. So yeah, I cannot find it now. Yeah, let me search for it. Meanwhile, you are writing, right? So I'll show it to you how it happens, right? Okay, so now I'll show you how the things happens, right? And yes, Udamya, you have to write regarding the components of the hard disk door, but only the topics, right? Not the paragraphs, right? Can be components well namtical yada. IDE connector actuator under the heading of hard disk is made out of several components, then just the names, right? So then the second example is magnetic tape, and third example we wrote as the floppy disk. Okay, so regarding the optical media, people, it's better you have number 2 regarding the optical media, and copy the very first sentence. Copy the very first sentence. Then I'll explain about the table, right? Yeah, let me know if you are done, right? Right. So now when it comes to the optical media types, there are 3 major types, right? You know about these 3 things. No, Tessanto, don't go for the table. I'll tell you what to be written, right? So there are 3 types, which is CD, DVD, and Blu-ray. So CDE stands for compact disc, and DVD stands for digital versatile disc, and Blu-ray, it's just Blu-ray, right? That we call like it's just like abbreviated like BD, right? So CD, DVD, and BD, Blu-ray disc, right? So the difference is CD is the oldest one. Oldest means the yeah, tamai mulimma, with the very first to come, and still we are using CDs, right, for a lot of purposes, right? So there are types. So there are empty CDs that can be write once, so which we call the CD-ROMs or CDRs, right? And there are types called rewritable CDs, right? So that means like generally, once we store the data inside a CD, it cannot be erased and rewritten. But if you are using the CD rewritable or like CD-RWs, you are given the chance to erase it and rewrite for several times, like not eternally. There are some certain rounds that you can run, right? But still, you can erase it and rewrite it. Right? So rewrite කරන්න ටික යාගේ CD එකේ තියෙන layer එක use වෙලා like at some point it becomes not rewritable, right? but it can rewrite for like up to 50 to 70 times, right? It can be rewritten, right? So the capacity varies from 650 to 900 MBs. So maximum is the 900, minimum is the 650. So it's like less than 1 GB, right? So small amount of data, like ගොඩක් වෙලාවට නේද අපිට MP3 songs store කරගන්න audio CD එකක් හදාගන්න we very much we use the CDs and digital versatile discs DVDs that is to store more data like එකක් it helps you to store more data and in the other hand when a data is made with a high quality it capacity get higher, right? අපි දැන් උදාහරණයක් විදිහට අපි 4K movie එකක් high definition hari 4K hari movie එකක් film කරාම the file that we creating is big in size. So we won't be able to put it inside a CD. CD එක මදි වෙන්න පුළුවන්. So for that purpose we have the DVDs, digital versatile discs. So like now you can experience the same thing. ඉස්සර මට නම් එක experience කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙලා තියෙනවා දැන් ඔයගලන්ටත් ඒක පුළුවන් බැරි නැහැ. So like you can find the same movie in CD formats as well as DVD formats. So DVD formats are much clearer and much qualitier than the CD formats. It is because of the size and the quality of that file. So a big file, we need a bigger space to store, right? So that is why digital versatile discs are there. So like the CDs, there are DVDs and DVD writables and DVD rewritables, right? So when it comes to the Blu-rays, it's done the revolution. So like it has Blu-ray recordables, right? Like the CDs, like which can store once, and as well as Blu-ray rewritables, right? We call it Blu-ray REs, recordable erasables, right? So, and again, Blu-ray 3Ds, right? So that is for 3D movies, right? So the capacity comes like 25 to 128 GB. That's a huge number of gigabytes. Like 128 GB means like what? 1/8 of terabyte, right? Then අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් computer එකට hard disk එකක් connect කරනකොට අපි 1 TB hard disk එකක් connect කරන්නේ ඒකකින් 8න් එකක් මතක තියාගන්න පුළුවන්. So comparatively it's very big, right? So these three types are there for you to record the things. So CDs, DVDs, and Blu-rays, right? Okay, so how we are going to write this? You are going to write it like this. Now, you are not going to copy this thing like the second column. Second column එක copy කරගන්න එපා. Type එක කියන එක, so you know about that. You write the device column as well as this size column. You don't need the image as well, right? The ඔයගලගේ table එකේ තියෙන columns දෙකයි. The device column and the size column. So CD, CD-ROM, CDR, CD rewritable. තුන්දෙනාටම තියෙන එක capacity එකයි. So likewise DVDs and Blu-rays, right? Okay, like I hope everyone can write that using their textbooks, right? So meanwhile I'm searching for the CD burn-in video, right? Is there anyone still copying from the screen? In other screen again copy karna hai? I hope not. Okay, so you will write it, you'll get it right. I'll search the video meanwhile, right? So I will be here, people. Just write it down. I'm going to search it as soon as possible. Okay, people, how's the situation? If you are done, let me know. I have found the video, so we can see. There are two. Okay, are we done? So we can go for the recordings. Not the recordings, actually a video. Okay, one is done. Yeah, Tesandu, R means write once. It can be readable CD readable. Right? So we can only write once. And then ROM killer read only memory killer with so data is already written to that, and we can only read it. Again, CD එකක් කඩෙන් අරගන්නකොට මේකේ data තියෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ it's a CD-ROM. We can when we are purchasing an empty CD, it is called a CD-R. එක සැරයක් ලියන්න පුළුවන් එකක් නා. If we are purchasing a rewritable CD, it is CD-RW. Right? Then copyrights තියෙන CDs වල ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ඔය famous music albums issue කරනකොට they issue the audio CDs. So those are CD-ROMs. We can't erase that. We can't write anything onto it. We can only put it in a player and listen to it. So that means reading the data and we can listen to that. That's all. So those are called the ROMs, read-only memories. Right, people, is there anyone still writing the note? If you are done, we can go for the videos. Right, okay, so we are going to see the videos. So I want you to maintain your note very clearly, right? මං කිව්වද මේ සතියේ පොත් ටික ආයි බලන්න ඕනේ කියලා. Right. Next week අපි අනිවාර්යෙන් බලමු. Right? Next week වෙනකොට complete කරගෙන තියාගන්න මං photos ටික ගෙන්න ගන්න ඕනේ ආයිසරයක්. Right? Okay, now this is going to show you how a compact disk is burned, right? So let's see this. I'm going to share this with the sounds. Yeah, yes, so sounds is there. Yeah, let's see that.
A compact disc, or CD, is a plastic disc containing a thin metallic layer that's used for storing large amounts of information. The most popular use for CDs today is for recording and playing back high-quality sound. A high-precision laser beam is used to burn microscopic pits in the thin metal layer of a master disc. The pits are laid down in patterns that can be read by a compact disc player. Thousands of CDs can be made from a single master disc. A CD player contains a low-power laser and high-precision lenses and mirrors. A servo motor positions the optical elements to a track on the disc.
Right.
The laser directs a narrow beam of light onto tracks of the spinning compact disc.
Yes.
Along a track, regions with...
Now, this is what is happening. This is the laser beam, the red color one. So that laser beam create this pits and folds, right? Maybe the pits තියෙන තැන් එයා පුච්චනකොට තමයි මේ වගේ පිට් එකක් හැදෙන්නේ. Right? ඒ කියන්නේ ඒක වැඩිපුර දුරකට පුච්චනවා සමහරවිට දුර අඩුවෙන් පුච්චනවා. Right? දැන් මේ පහළ තියෙන්නේ මේ black line එක මෙතන තියෙන black line එක තමයි CD surface එක. So එයා අඩු දුරකට පුච්චලා එක කියන එක indicate කරනවා වැඩි දුරකට පුච්චලා බිඳුව කියන එක indicate කරනවා. So it's ones and zeros that is going to be indicate from the CD. Right? So the laser beam එකෙන් පස්සේ වෙලාවක ඒ pattern එක තමයි ඒ pits තියෙන pattern එක තමයි එයා කියවන්නේ. Right?
With pit, scatter the light differently from regions without pit. The sequence of regions represents the sound information. A photodetector picks up light scattered from the pit and sends a signal to a microprocessor, which converts the signal to sound. The same technology that is used for sound can be used for storing other kinds of digital information as well, including computer programs, pictures, and animation. When used for multiple purposes, the disks are often called CD-ROM, or compact disc read-only memory.
Right, so that is one, and there is another one.
How do Blu-ray and other optical discs work? Blu-ray is the descendant of Laserdisc, part of a group of storage media collectively known as optical discs. CDs, DVDs, and later Blu-ray discs are some of the best-known examples of these media. These discs use the same form factor, and the devices that read them use lasers. Optical discs have a layer, where pits and flat area contain the disc's data in simple binary. A pit represents 0, whereas a flat area represents 1.
දැක්කනේ pit එකක් 0 කියන එක represent කරනවා, flat area එක 1 කියලා represent කරනවා CD surface එකේ තියෙන, right?
A laser is pointed at the disc as it spins. When the laser light hits a flat area, it reflects towards a photoelectric cell, which then detects the light. When the laser light strikes a pit, it doesn't get reflected towards the photoelectric cell. This way, the photoelectric cell can interpret the laser's light as binary data.
තේරුණාද? ඒක මේ අමතර දෙයක් මම මේ කියන්නේ, right? එයාගේ laser එක reflect වෙන්න පරාවර්තනය වෙන්නේ flats තියෙන තැන්වල. ඒ කියන්නේ එක තියෙන තැන්වල. ඒතර එක තියෙන තැන්වලදී laser එක පරාවර්තනය වුණාම මේ photoelectric cell කියලා එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒකෙන් අල්ල ගන්නවා දැන් මේ read කරන්න එකක් කියලා. ඒතර එයාට එක හම්බ නොවන අවස්ථා හැම එකක්ම එයා අරගන්නේ 0 එකක් කියලා.
Reflected light equals 1, no light equals 0. This binary is then processed by a computer as data, a movie, or music, for instance. How much an optical disc can store depends on how small the pits can be made on the physical disc and the type of laser being used to read the disc. For instance, Blu-ray uses blue lasers, which have a smaller wavelength than the red DVD lasers or the infrared lasers used with CDs.
මේක මටත් අලුත්. ඒගොල්ලෝ දැන් CD එක DVD එක Blu-ray එක අපි එළියෙන් බැලුවම එකම size එක නේද? එතකොට අපිට ගැටලුවක් එනවනේ කොහොමද එකම size එකේ එක එක ප්‍රමාණ වලින් store කරගන්න කියලා. There are different storages, like CD has like less than 1 GB. DVD has like 0 to 5 GB, right? Blu-ray is having like 25 and 128. So the different makes from the this particular laser light. A laser beam එක යා pits and flats හදන්න ගන්න laser beam එක. CD එකේ හැදෙන laser beam එකෙන් හැදෙන pit එක ලොකුයි. ඒක නිසා නේද අපි දැන් CD එකක් අරගෙන තුඩ මහත පෑනකින් තිත් තියාගෙන ගියොත් අපිට තියන්න පුළුවන් තිත් ප්‍රමාණය පොඩිනේ. ඊට වඩා වැඩි තුඩ හීනි පෑනකින් තිත් තියන්න පුළුවන් වුණොත් CD surface එක. So likewise, when it comes to the Blu-ray, it's very small, the pit spot. And when it goes towards the CD, that spot is getting bigger. So CD එකේ තමයි ලොකුම pit එක තියෙන්නේ. ඒක නිසා ඒ වගේ වලවල් හදන්න පුළුවන් පොඩ්ඩයි. DVD එකේ ඊට වඩා වැඩියෙන් හදන්න පුළුවන් එයාගේ laser beam එක හීන නිසා. Blu-ray එකේ තවත් වැඩියෙන් හදන්න පුළුවන් because it has a very thin laser beam. Right.
Because this smaller wavelength makes the Blu-ray beam more precise, more data can be stored on the same surface area, approximately 5 times more than on its predecessor, the DVD. Added to that, Blu-ray is a so-called third-generation optical disc. At the time of writing, fourth-generation optical discs are still in development, with Ultra HD Blu-ray poised to supersede regular Blu-ray in the near future. If you want to know, for instance, how VHS works, let me know in the comments. Subscribe and hit that bell to get notified.
Right. So people, I hope you had a very good idea about how CDs and all these things works, right? So we are at 3:31 on our clock, and yeah, I'll talk about these solid state devices starting by next week, right? So we are done up to this, and there are some more parts. Yeah, like by next week we will be able to finish up this lesson, I think. Yeah, like we only need to talk about some network stuff and all these things. So no, not by next week, I think. There are some more, right? So like week after we will be able to finish up the lessons, the second one. Yes, is anyone asking me a question? Opade?
Do we have class on next Saturday?
Yeah, normally. Are we getting any holidays on Saturday? No, right? Yeah, මට මතක විදිහට නම් calendar holiday එකක්ද තියෙන්නේ දුව? I don't remember. I'll inform. Dua, why specifically you are asking about that? Like, are we getting any holidays on next Saturday? Is it a 4-day or something?
No.
Right, okay. So if it is not a holiday, so we are going to have the classes in the regular manner, right? Okay, so I'll inform if anything. No, let me confirm. Just a second. I'll confirm. Yeah, people. No, we are not having any holidays. So we will be having the classes in the regular manner. Ravindu Shehan, zeros and 1 ගැන කතා කරන්න අපිට ඊළඟ පාඩමම තියෙනවා, right? So have patience. We are going to talk about ones and zeros, right? ඊළඟ පාඩමේදී ඒක ගැන තමයි පුතේ කතා කරන්නේ, right? Okay, people. So I'm going to sum up the lesson for today. So we'll be meeting by next week, and we'll see some other interesting things about the storages and the networking part, right? Okay, people, have a nice weekend, right? I'll see you on the next Saturday for the very same
Thank you,
time,
sir.
right? Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Dua, thank you. Right, Udamya. Thank you very much. Okay, Dua, thank you.